I've been disappointed with the government since I was born. My father was disappointed with the government, his father. So that's nothing new, you know, that's just a regular day in America.
Hello and welcome to Ways to Change the World. I'm Krishnan Guru-Murthy, and this is the podcast in which we talk to extraordinary people about the big ideas in their lives and the events that have helped shape them. We're on location this week just by the O2 in Greenwich because my guest has got a big show here that he's promoting, which is to do with basketball, which we'll be talking about, but he's also performing here himself because Ice Cube is one of the godfathers of hip hop. At a time that we've been talking about 50 years of this remarkable art form, he was of course one of the founding members of N.W.A. He left and worked on his own and with people from Public Enemy, and he went into Hollywood and he spent years and years making hugely successful movies, and now he is the entrepreneur behind the Big Three, which is a new basketball league trying to break into an industry that is largely sewn up by the N.W.A. So, welcome to the podcast. Very nice to see you here. I mean, how did you go from that 14-year-old boy who starts rapping with friends to that, the birth of N.W.A. just a few years later? What happened?
I met Dr. Dre. that doesn't hurt. He ended up, moving down the street from me, and we became friends. He liked, my flavor, my style, my enthusiasm, my skills, and took me under his wing, as a youngster. And I started to hang out with him, and he was with a group called the Wrecking Crew. And I would carry crates and speakers to the parties for Dre. I would be in the booth sometime. He'd be DJing for the party. He let us rap sometime, and then we met Easy, and Easy was like, yo, I want to put money behind this, Everybody else is scared of it, but I'm not. And so that's how, the ball started to roll.
But were you always a writer?
Yeah,
in those
I
days?
was. I was a writer. In school, I used to get, awards for having the best, they would ask what you do for your summer vacation. And I would, be able to articulate exactly what happened during the summer. When I was, 12, sixth grade, I did the graduation speech for my sixth grade class, and I wrote the speech. So, I've always been a writer, but putting it to music and becoming a rapper, it was right up my alley because it was so creative. I can't sing, so it was a way to get into the music business.
I mean, you captured an anger as well of how black people were living. Was that an anger you felt yourself and had lived because you were only young?
Yeah.
Or was that something you had observed and were learning about?
Both. I felt it growing up. In them years, you learn a lot. Once you start paying attention, I guess when you get about 5, 6, 7, you really start to pay attention to the world around you. And it was a lot of things going on that I didn't understand, and they did make me mad. I was angry about it. What was great was I had an outlet, which was the music, just to first get it outside of your body and then be able to kind of examine it from the outside.
So when you said please, you meant it personally?
Yes.
It was personal?
It was personal, yeah.
I mean, is that story true about how those lyrics ended up in the bin? Because you felt it was too much to say?
No, it wasn't. I didn't feel it was too much to say. Dr. Dre, he was on some kind of work release, so he had to go back and forth to the county jail every weekend. And he didn't want to do the song while he was in that position because he felt when he go in, the sheriffs would mess with him because of that song. So he said, we're not doing this song. When I first rapped it to him, I went off to school in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was going through my raps with a couple of my friends out there, and I saw it and I was like, well, we're not gonna do this song. So I balled it up and threw it in the trash. And one of my friends named Phoenix Phil, he went in the trash. He said, nah, this was too good. And he kind of, you know, put it back in my notebook. And so I kept it. And so when we was making Straight Outta Compton, we were thinking of concepts on what was gonna go on the record. And I brought it up again. And at that time, Dre was done with, you know, dealing with that situation. So he was like,
He wasn't afraid
yeah,
anymore.
I'm ready to do it now. It wasn't like he was afraid. He just knew if he did it, it would put him in a vulnerable position when they had him in custody. You know.
Did you feel you were changing the world in those days? Because you were articulating something that was new.
I didn't feel like we was changing the world. I felt like we were showing the world a mirror. You know, if you look into a mirror, you only change if you want to change. If you don't like what you see, then you do something about it. But I didn't, you know, you don't have to. Sometimes you go by a mirror, you look, you might like what you see and you keep going. So when you think about changing the world, we was just thinking about exposing what we were dealing with, where we were coming from at the time. You know, we're teenagers.
Did you have any sense of how big it would be?
Yes. We were recording a record and MC Ren looked at me while we were in the studio and he said, this record is gonna start some. That's what he said. This record is gonna start some. And that's when it kind of dawned on me that, oh yeah, we're about to put this out into the world. Everybody's about to hear this, which is cool. It's right up our alley.
When you think about what you were writing about then, how much do you think has actually changed now?
You know, I don't know how much things have changed. I think, you know, the world is a very beautiful place at times and a very harsh and ugly place at times. And I don't think that has changed.
So when you think about the police, for a start,
Yeah.
what do you think? In comparison to how it was in the 80s?
They haven't changed either. You know, they have a organization, a fraternity, and I believe their philosophy is make it home safe, no matter what. And that's where the crossroads are, because sometimes making it home safe, officers don't mind breaking the law to make it home safe, as long as they win the encounter.
And when you're performing now, do you still feel the anger?
Yeah.
You know, people might think, oh, you know, he's going through the motions now. You know, he's a rich guy, he's successful.
I was never just thinking about myself making music. You know, I was never just, I'm gonna talk about me, I only talk about me, I'm only worried about me. It's always been about community. It's always been about exposing what's going on to not just, you know, me. It probably don't happen to me as much because of everybody know I'm Ice Cube, but friends, family, loved ones, you know, they still got to deal with it, and I'm their voice. So, yeah, that makes me angry.
I mean, Hollywood's obviously been a huge part of your life as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you have the same approach there?
Yep.
Or just explain, what's your approach to sort of movies you're doing? And, you know,
I'm not Hollywood. I'm an outsider. I'm not, you know, I didn't go to Juilliard acting school. You know, I started off in music. I was discovered by John Singleton, who saw something in me and wanted to put me in his movie, Boys in the Hood. That movie was very influential on me as far as seeing the movie making process, seeing a guy my age be a director and take control of a set and produce something that he wanted to see on the screen. And I wanted to do the same thing. And he always told me, when are you gonna write a movie? Because you think Hollywood is gonna give you something as good as Boys in the Hood? Hollywood is gonna give you trash. You gotta write your own movies.
And do you see AI as a threat, the way
Yes.
Hollywood's unions seem to?
AI is a threat to everybody.
An existential threat.
It's a threat to everybody. Right now it's a threat to, creativity. People are not looking to acquire the knowledge. They're looking to ask, for the knowledge. That's very bad for society. And with acting, AI can take anybody's job in here. Take your job, could take mine, could take his, could take his. Everybody in here can have their job taken by AI.
So is it inevitable then that they will be? I mean, you can't stop it.
Not
can
if
you?
we don't. Yeah, we can. Thinking you can't do something is the beginning of the end. So many people want to cheat and use it and not, just get the money, not acquire the knowledge. We definitely don't want doctors to start thinking like that. I'm just ask the computer, and they'll tell me how to do this surgery.
So when you think about young people now, people in the position you were in the 80s who want to do something with themselves, want to change their society, do you think it's just as feasible now as it was for you then?
Of course. You can always change your reality. You just got to do what it takes.
And do you think activism is important today in that respect?
Yeah, I think if you have the passion, if you have the platform, you should be, as active as you think. I'm not saying everybody should drop what they're doing and go take on the cause, but you should care about what's going on around you and not just worry about yourself, your family, your interests.
Because I wonder what you feel that your big lessons are from your contract with Black America, because you came out with these remarkably radical ideas. Mm-hmm. They were interesting to politicians on all sides. But you kind of wonder, and it was a reaction in that period to the murder of George Floyd, and everybody was saying we've got to change everything, we've got to think about different. When you think about it now, a couple of years on, what happened?
Well, I think the ideas in the contract with Black America are not that radical. I think it's common sense.
No tax for black people is pretty radical, isn't it?
Well, when you look at how we've been violated in so many different ways in America, financially is one of them, can't really repay that back. And so I think, if you have reparations in your heart in some way, shape, or form, that could be one idea of giving relief without giving money. You see what I mean? But, I don't think it's a radical idea. They make a lot of organizations tax exempt. A lot of big businesses don't pay taxes. So it's not that radical. To me, it's the will of the people and the will of government to make it right.
But that's the point, isn't it? Because do you feel disappointed with the government that they haven't done more? Because they said they would look at it.
I've been disappointed with the government since I was born. My father was disappointed with the government, his father. So that's nothing new. That's just a regular day in America. But, at the end of the day, that doesn't mean you don't stop trying to educate the people. And I think with the contract with Black America, what it did more than anything was educate a lot of people who didn't know how we got here and how big the problem is and why it doesn't get fixed. See, that question right there, I think a lot of answers are in the contract with Black America. So I think it's done a great deal to educate people on what the real problems are. Whether a politician took it on or not, that doesn't matter. What matters is that the knowledge is there and people can always educate themselves, so when they get in a position to do something, they can.
And do you feel America is sort of stuck in this loop between Trump and Biden?
I think the world is stuck in a loop. But yeah, I mean, it's, polarization is the winning formula for the status quo. So, it is in a loop that's designed, and only the people can break the loop. The system is not going to break the loop because the loop feeds the system.
So how does it break? I mean, does it need an outsider? Does it need a third candidate? Does it need how do you get out of this cycle?
You probably do need a third candidate. You probably do need the people to show that these both parties that America deals with, Republican Party, Democratic Party, to really show them that we don't have to take what you're dishing. You think what you're gonna do, go to the other side, and so you continue to do the things that you do. But I just feel like the people could really take a stand.
What do you think of that Trump mugshot today?
It really don't matter. It don't do nothing for me. It don't do nothing for me at all. Yeah.
Because isn't the idea of a mugshot so sort of emblematic that when it applies to a politician, it's a big deal, isn't it?
Is it? Doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't?
No. It don't seem like a big deal at all. It seems like, people will take, a thirsty man would take a dirty glass of water.
It's exciting for those of us who remember sort of 35 years ago that you'll be touring later on in the year. But right now you are here for sport.
Yeah.
So a lot of people here will not know what the big three is. So what is the big three? Why is it different?
The big three is professional 3-on-3 basketball. So people have seen the full court 5-on-5 version. This is half court. There's 3 players on the court for each team at a time. And it's the same basketball that you know and love with, a few little, cool little twists. It's faster than normal 5-on-5, full court. There's no game clock, so we go to 50, so the first to 50, so it's a sprint. So the games are really competitive all the way through. And yeah, it's our version of the professional 3-on-3 that you may see in FIBA, which is the amateur version of what we're doing. If
you go on the website to get tickets, it makes much of the fact that this is a black-owned business and new league.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that important?
Well, I think it's important to hopefully inspire other young black, entrepreneurs out there that they can do something this big. But at the end of the day, we have, many different people, all different backgrounds, different races helping to run the league. So, it's really, it's owned by black people, but at the end of the day, it's for everybody and everybody's running it.
But this is another industry in which you are coming in and being a disruptor.
Yes.
Because there is there is the NBA and they are established and they're billions of dollars. And what is it like coming in and trying to find your niche in an industry that is pretty sewn up?
It's this David versus Goliath story. But I'm kind of used to this since, coming in N.W.A. with my music, it was the same thing. You had this big music industry that did not want that type of music to penetrate. So, we use the same tactics, do something good, do something that the people want, and you can't deny it. And that's what we did with the big three. The people wanted more basketball. we gave it to them, and nobody can deny it, not even the NBA.
I mean, I've heard you talking about the gatekeepers.
Yes.
And there are gatekeepers to this sports industry in the same way that there were in music and the way that there is in Hollywood as well.
All through our lives, everybody's dealing with gatekeepers in some way, shape, or form. And so sports, it's no different. Getting coverage by the mainstream sports media has been challenging, and they're just late to the party. We're still partying, Our attendance is up, our ratings are better than a lot of leagues that's been around much longer than us. So we're in good shape and we're on the rise.
But how does the establishment treat you? When you say it's hard to get attention from mainstream media, do you think that is because there is a giant there controlling things?
Of course, we've heard from several different sources, outlets, sponsors, broadcasters that they can't work with us until we establish some kind of relationship with the NBA. And that's unfortunate because we got something cool that the people really love and the people like. And so for them not to cover it just because it may hurt the NBA's feelings is very, it's a real coward way to handle it.
And is the NBA interested in a relationship with you? Because you'd have thought that the two of you could work quite well together because you'll take some of their older players and it's a route out.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we should be working together, but they, I believe they feel that they own basketball in a lot of ways, and we didn't ask for permission to do this. And so I think they feel like we're competition. They look at this how boxing looked at the UFC. And I think boxing made a mistake by not embracing the UFC, and now boxing is somewhat suffering because of the UFC's success or mixed martial arts. And the same thing is going to happen here with the NBA too. They should embrace the big three because there's no reason not to.
Why are you doing this? I mean, why are you in this business when you come from show business?
I love sports. I love basketball. It's a shame that, when the NBA kicks these guys out or when there's not enough room or never even get them because there's only so many spots. There's thousands of ballers out there. So why should they have to go and play overseas and not play in front of their family, their friends? Why should we not get a chance to see them play ever again, so to speak? And we still are fans of these guys, and they still have honed their skills to a level that is unmatched.
I mean, you say David and Goliath. I mean, you're a huge star, so you've got a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have talked about how black businesses do not get access to finance, do not get access to capital, do not get taken seriously in the establishment. Do you feel that still?
Of course.
With this?
Of course. You say I'm a big star. I haven't been around 75 years like the NBA, and yeah, we're still struggling with sponsors, and we still think that they should take a look at what we're doing in the summer. We got the coolest thing going on. And they should take a chance with us and spend the big bucks like they do with the NBA or the NFL. Every league has to fight for sponsor dollars. And there's only so many sponsor dollars to go around. So we want our piece of the pie too. We're not just gonna take our place because we're a startup. We want to say, look, we're new to the party. We're a sport that started this millennium. So we're new, we're fresh, we're young, we're fast, and they should be looking at us. Our demographic is actually younger than the NBA.
So when you say you're using the same tactics you used with N.W.A. 3.5 decades ago, talk me through that a little bit. I mean...
Well, you don't wait for an invitation to the party. You show up and you get in somehow, some way.
And that's what you did when you were 18 years old?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what we did.
I mean, we're talking a lot about 50 years of hip hop at the moment.
Yes.
What does 50 years of hip hop mean to you?
50 years of magic, 50 years of having a voice, 50 years of doing it how you feel it, 50 years of changing the world, 50 years of getting paid attention to and not getting ignored. So I believe it's done, everything that any other music has done for cultures and generations. It makes an impact that lasts generations. So it's been an amazing ride. I've been on this ride for over 30 years of this.
You're clearly a role model for lots of people, and there are lots of rappers who have become entrepreneurs and business people. You're now in sports. How good a role model is it for ordinary people, though? Because not everyone can do what you're doing. There is a sort of an analysis which says there is this class of people who are big, successful, they give people dreams, and you're one of them. Mm-hmm. But not everybody can live that dream, and that it doesn't really lift up Black America. Do you sort of take on that analysis?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, for anybody trying to live my dream, that's ridiculous too. But what I do and what people successful hopefully inspire others to go for it, to live out their own dreams, to seek a higher status or life for themselves, to not be afraid to go for it, to not let society put invisible chains on you where you don't try to live your dreams. And it doesn't matter if you fail or not. It matters more if you don't try. You don't regret what you do. Most of the time you regret what you don't do.
If you could change the world in any way, how would you change it?
Make all the resources free.
Just flesh that out for me. How would that?
Make all the resources free. Everybody can get what they need. If you want more, then you have to pay.
Ice Cube, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.